Today, I'd like to talk about stress and look at it both from a Buddhist perspective and a Christian perspective as we observe stress in our lives and really how to cope with that stress. One of the beliefs that can sometimes really become almost an unconscious belief in our society is that having more is better for us. One of, I guess, the simple products of a consumerist society is the need to create the illusion that we kind of need something that maybe we really don't need. Can we do without that pet rock, for example? Well, it's nice to have a pet. A rock is easier to take care of than a dog or a cat, so pet rock. Um, Marketing tools, publicity, getting the word out, social media. Got to have my pet rock. It's everybody else has one. Why not get one? Do I really need one? No. So the idea of having more stuff, and then we get into kind of the absurd situation where we don't have room for all this stuff, and well, let's rent a storage unit and put the stuff in it. It can create a craziness in our life. And really, what we're saying, both from a Christian perspective and a Buddhist perspective, is that having more is not necessarily going to be good for us. It's going to be helpful for us. As a matter of fact, having more can lead to, unfortunately, more stress. Now, the psychologist Lisa Epple has taken a look at this concept of stress and has done research on it too, because one of the main complaints that psychologists get today is, I'm stressed out. And of course, stress is something that is bad for us even in a physical sense. It can lead to higher blood pressure. It can lead to stroke, heart attack. So coping with stress and being aware of stress certainly is an important issue for us. What Elisa has found in her research is that stress responses evolved to help us deal, first of all, with attacks or danger. So if we are going to be attacked, or if there's a very dangerous situation that's coming, tornado, hurricane, difficult event, stress is important. It kind of gets us attuned to the danger, and we have to do something to protect ourselves and to protect those we love, protect other people. Cortisol and adrenaline course into our blood. So when there is stress, there's a physical reaction. These elements come into our blood to help us. Our pupils dilate when we're experiencing stress. That helps us to see more clearly. So we can have, as much as we speak about stress as a negative, certainly there are many positives with stress. Our heart and breathing speed up, but they speed up to help us respond more rapidly to a situation. So that speeding up is helpful, just like the dilation of the pupils is helpful. Blood diverts to our large muscles, so we can respond faster. All of these things, they have a positive purpose. They're helping us to respond better to that stressful situation. Constant stress, though, is the problem. Not those emergency situations that happen just every so often, but when we're experiencing stress all the time and taking stress upon ourselves. And this has been shown to wear down our telomeres, which are the cap on our DNA that protects our cells from illness and aging. So when this happens, it can have obviously a very bad effect. It can make us more vulnerable to illness, and it can make us age more rapidly. So as much as the reactions can be positive, we have to be careful about taking on too much stress. So the issue here really is how to respond to a stressful situation. What can we do to help us to cope with a stressful situation? And the concept really that we come up with is what we call stress resilience. And that is challenge stress instead of threat stress. So this type of resilience where we are challenged to do better, to be more aware, but the stress does not overwhelm us. The stress is moderated by our attitude towards the stress and how we're coping with the stress. So our body is preparing to rise to a challenge type of situation. And what helps us in those challenging situations? Really, from a Christian perspective, we speak of community, the fact that we are not alone. Why do we, for example, talk about the importance of a church community, of being connected to others? Because when we are in difficult situations, we can be with others, we can respond with others, and that is very helpful. We're not bearing the stress by ourselves. The African and South African concept here of Ubuntu, very important, right? The idea of helping one another, reaching out to one another, forming connections with one another so that stress can be reduced. This is certainly found in the Christian tradition in terms of the importance of prayer. We think about others who are in need and we pray for them. And in praying for them, we are reaching out to them with compassion and with love. In praying for them, we are sending a message to them that we care, that you are not alone. And so that very act of prayer is an act of community. It's an act of reaching out. It's an act of caring, whereby we are giving to other people. So this concept of community is very important in terms of dealing with stress. One of the Buddhist ways of coping with that is the realization that I am the same as that other person who's experiencing stress, that I am one with them. They are my sister, they are my brother. So this communal connection is important, certainly in the Christian tradition, and equally important we find in the Buddhist tradition.